Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Amateur Repair Time. Today we are going to check out this radio over here. A friend of ours that comes by our store proposed doing a trade for this radio. So there's a Panasonic, I would guess that's from the late 60s or maybe the early 70s, radio that sits in the background of all my videos. And to be honest, I've got it sitting over there just because I like it. I think it's a really cool looking radio, but I've never even plugged it in. I think I picked it up at Goodwill or something. I don't remember where I got it. So today we're going to check it out and make sure it works, because they want to trade me a radio for that radio. And the reason is because these are a couple that's been coming in our store for a long time. And she said that her grandma, I think it was her grandma, had that radio whenever she was a little kid. And she remembers it, and she believes it's that exact same radio. You would think that that would be a heck of a coincidence, that it wouldn't really be the exact same radio. However, if you watched back around Christmas, we fixed this Silvertone AM 1937 Silvertone radio over there, and I needed the knobs for it, and they actually had that exact same radio and had extra knobs for it. So that's where I was able to get a couple of the knobs, which is a heck of a coincidence because those knobs weren't that common. So I guess this was probably, that must be a message that this actually is the radio that she had whenever she was younger, or that her grandma had. So we're going to check it out, see if it works, and then I'm going to show you what they want to trade for it, which some people is going to think it's a upside down trade, that their item is worth more than this radio, but that's what they wanted to do, so I'm willing to do it. So let me get that off of the shelf, and we'll bring it over here and hook it up and see if the thing works. It's a Panasonic. I'm just going to guess, if I don't jinx myself, that it probably works fine. It might be a little scratchy on the potentiometers or something, but it should work, just because usually Panasonic stuff of that vintage you'd think is at least decent quality. That's what I would think. So we'll see. All right. So it says FET, solid state, volume, tone, balance, off, AFC, and on. AFC, is that like auto frequency control? Something like that. It has a phonograph selection, FM stereo, and AM. Tuning. Yeah, I just really like the look of it. That's why I picked it up. But just really cool looking radio. I believe those are the speakers that go with it. They're the same wood tone, so I think those must have came with it. I've got so much stuff, I don't even know where I got it all. I honestly don't. I've got more stuff like this. I'll probably pull one out here in a little bit and we'll put it back up to replace it. So let's look at the back of it. So one thing about it, it's kind of heavy. It has the internal antenna hooked up for FM. It's got a serial number, a Japanese serial number. It's a model RE7671. I wonder if that means it was made in 71. Maybe, maybe not. Phono connections. Record out connections, so you could hook this into like a reel-to-reel tape player, or anything, but I guess back then it would have been a reel-to-reel. I've got some of them too. It says design certified as complying with FCC rules. Part 15 in effect as of date of manufacturer. To prevent electric shock, do not remove cover. No user serviceable parts inside. Refer servicing to a qualified service personnel. This says speakers 16 ohms, and then power source. That's weird. I don't know if there's another way to power it, maybe, or are they just saying this is the power source? I don't know. Okay, so this says speaker 16 ohms, right and left. I'm going to see if those just happen to be 16 ohm speakers. If they do, That would be perfect for this. Air-sealed acoustic suspension duo cone speaker system made in Japan, so it's also Japanese. It doesn't say Panasonic on it. But if you look, it's the exact same type of construction. This is like a little pressed wood. That's very similar. Has a nice kind of cherry looking wood that it's made out of plywood. This is kind of the same. I don't know. If it's not the exact same, it's really close. So I hope they're 16 ohm because they'd be perfect for this, and you could easily hook them up with the RCA cables. So I also have a vintage Fluke multimeter. Look, I can't help myself, people. I can't help myself. They're cool. I'm very carefully trying to test it. There we go. Well, I saw something. Come on, give me a number. Come on. I can't get a good bite on it. Come on, you sucker. That looks like 10, doesn't it? Or 8. I guess that's maybe 8. Well, you would think if they say 16 ohm, they mean they want 16 ohm speakers, not 2 8s. You would think it would say 8 ohm. I don't know. In a jukebox, they talk about the total amount they want hooked up. I wonder if I can find a manual for this thing. Let me check the other speaker too and see if I get a similar reading. Look at the tone. I mean, it's hard for me to believe those aren't the speakers that came with that thing. Look at that. What do you think? Are those the speakers that came with it and it doesn't even matter? It sure looks like it, doesn't it? They don't say Panasonic on them though. All right, let me see if I can find any kind of manual that says you're supposed to hook up 16 ohm speakers, or if it's 2 8s, which again, you'd think they wouldn't write it that way, but they might. Well, I couldn't find a manual, but unfortunately they are supposed to be 16 ohm. So we can hook it up for a little bit, and you can tell because this is RE7671, this is RE7672, the speaker system that came with it, and it looks almost identical to the ones I've got, but they are a little bit different. The edge of it is bigger, and they're clearly marked 16 ohm on the back of these. And then there's another set, same deal, 7672. There is yet another set that was called a 7670, but every one of them is marked 16 ohm. So unfortunately, I don't have 16 ohm speakers for it. All right, so we're gonna just for a little bit, hook up an 8 ohm speaker for it. Now, if you got a 16 ohm, I've heard you can go like 12 ohm and you'll be all right. Or you could go 20 ohm and you'll be all right, if they even make a 20 ohm. Like if you go a little bit off, you're okay, like 1 step. But if you go 2 steps, where it's getting half the impedance that it wants, it's not going to be all that happy with that. But we can use it to test it. I'll just have to make sure they get 16 ohm speakers. I told them when I first talked about it that I didn't have the right speakers for it. And then when I was talking to them this weekend, I told them that I did have the speakers for it, but they're not the right ones. So I'll text them here in a little bit and see if they can find some. All right, so we'll test it out though with our little wrong speakers, and as long as we don't leave it on too long, it won't overload the amp and blow everything up. Wait a minute. What is that I see? Behind this, in my closet here, there is a speaker that looks like it's got the same type of back as those other ones. Let me dig and see what I have here. All right, so I dug through all my stuff and I found this which is really close, but it's still not quite the right one. This is 16 ohm, but it doesn't have an RCA hookup on the back. It's just got regular speaker plugs, and it's the wrong set. I guess I got it when I bought this little 8-track player. This vintage 60s and 70s stuff, I think it's just cool. I mean, I know it ain't really worth anything, but so this actually is a Panasonic. I've got 2 of them. It's a set. It's a Panasonic, and they're 16 ohms. Right, but it's the wrong number. They're a little newer, and they've got a built-in wire, and it was never an RCA. And it looks like they've been using them for this 8-track player. So, and this doesn't have any kind of inputs like that. You'd have to put an RCA plug on it. And if I'm gonna do that, I might as well just plug one of these in to test it. What to do? Yeah, I think we'll just test it with these, and then I'll just explain to them that they need some 16 ohm ones with an RCA lead. I know you could put one on here, but since it wasn't made like that, I don't know. You know, it's kind of, as you'll see here shortly, the guy's handy with radios himself, so he can, I think he can find some 16 ohm speakers somewhere. He may have some actually. All right, so we'll let me get rid of this stuff and we'll turn it around. I'll plug one of the speakers up. We'll just do one at a time, and then we'll see if we can get anything out of it whenever we turn it on. I still have to show you what he traded me for. All right, moment of truth. I've got it plugged in. I've got one speaker plugged up. Let's see if she'll light up. She will. And as expected, the pots are super scratchy. We were on phono. There we go, I hear something. We're on FM now. So the first thing it's heard in probably 40 years. I'm sorry, Panasonic. I'm so sorry. I tried to do better for you. That's right. That's left. All right, so left, right, okay. Definitely need to clean the pots. Okay, tone. Treble, bass. I bet it just copyright struck the crap out of me. If you didn't hear anything just then, it's because the copyright struck. Bass, treble. All right, scratchy pots like we thought. So FM seems to be working.
Piensa que solamente fue un sueño lo que viviste conmigo. Visit GiveTableTalk.com today.
There we go. So we'll try the end of the bottom of the and the top. Whoa, what was that? Heck yeah! Good reception at the bottom of the dial. Oh, look. It's off. It's not in the right spot. Interesting. So that's probably 107.9. That should be way up here. So let's see if it goes way down past. No, it stops. There's something physically stops it. Well, that's interesting. Well, we might have to open her up. We need to spray these pots anyway, so. And then on AM, of course, it's going to do the same thing. Now, we get a really strong channel here, 1110. So if I can find 1110, that'll tell us how far it's off. It's really strong. You can't miss it.
Planning today. Beta Security LLC is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Please see disclosures at howardbailey.com.
Big news from My Pillow, just in time for the holiday. Every year,
Thousands of you.
Okay. You hear how loud that is? That's probably 1110.
Learn more at DaveThomas.org.
So instead of here, well, we're
Chestnut roasting power. Send an MP3 to Santa at WDT.com and we'll play it on the air for Santa Day.
Yep.
To Cuba. News Talk 1110 99.3 WDT.
So that's 1110. It's way down here. So an inch and a half, 2 inches off, which is about right. Yeah, so I guess that's just slid somehow. Well, that'll be fun. But other than that, it seems to work just fine. Oh, we're not supposed to be using our 8-ohm speaker too long, are we? Cool little radio. Okay, let me take it. Let me see if I can slide that out to where we can get to that, and maybe it'll just be an easy adjustment. Maybe we'll be able to just look at it and tell what happened, but somehow it slipped. Okay, so I was able to take the top off. For those of you who are finding this video years later, because you're working on one, you want to take the screws out of the edge here, these 4 on the end. You don't mess with these, and don't mess with these on the front. So if you do that, the top will lift right off. See the 4 screw holes on the edge? Easy peasy. And then down in here, it shows you how to wind the dowel cord. So what I'm going to do is, I can't figure out how that moved, but somebody must have messed with it. They haven't replaced any caps or anything, so I don't know what they were doing, but I guess somebody messed with it. You can see that when the tuning capacitor is all the way open, you're only here. That's why we've got the problem. And then whenever you go the other way, you start closing the tuning capacitor, you can't get it all the way closed because this little plate hits right there and it won't go any farther. You could just move it, but if you look, that's all glued on the string. Or does it just look like it's glued on the string? Does that string have glue on it, or is it just, it's so white I can't tell? The easiest thing to do would be to just slide it down the string. Okay, let me look real close and see if that's glue. All right, I've took the dowel cord completely out. I probably could have just taken this end thing off, loosened that screw, and then turned it back to where it needs to go. But too late now. So the problem is, it was tied around this twice when it's supposed to be just around it once. So they had it in the wrong position. So I'm going to put it back in the correct position, just like it says. I'm going to use the dowel cord stringing guide to string the dowel cord. And that should get us back where it's in the right spot. All right, it took some doing, but I got it back together exactly how it showed. I still had to take the thing off though, because I had to, they had it strung all different. It wasn't right. But we're good now. So it moves real smoothly. Look at this. Look at that. Look how it's all doing its thing. And if you look, when it gets down to that little stop down there, it doesn't quite touch it. Almost, but not quite. And that's with it fully meshed, which is at maximum capacity. The capacitance of the capacitor is the highest whenever it's fully meshed. It's important to know, you know, because you don't know how they're going to say it. I might have had to have Googled that earlier. And then when it gets down this way, it also doesn't quite hit the stop. It's real close. So it's like, it's right there on it, right? So I don't know if this gear moved or if they restrung it or what happened. But I think we're good now. So we're going to test it by turning it back on. And then, like I said, I know that 1110 is really strong. So we'll see if it lines up with 1110 now. If it doesn't, we could mess with the alignment. I hate doing that, though. But if you just messed with the antenna alignment screw, you should be all right. Also, when I took it apart, a screw fell out. So I don't know. Maybe that was from something else. I don't know. But it doesn't look like it fits this. Yeah, worst case scenario, we may be able to align the antenna a little bit better just to get it to track better, but I don't want to mess with it because it seems like everything was working great. So let's try it on 1110.
You know, so I don't, you know, I know there's parapsychology and some people.
All right, so I sprayed the crap out of it too.
Like I said, I've noticed some trends in the story.
And then work the faders back and forth. Look how the lights are all still working.
Stone, I think it's called by some
beautiful
researchers, seem like some instances seem to really make sense. And so in my book there's a story, but multiple stories.
Look at it.
If you were to ask.
Okay, so with the contact cleaner in it,
haunting the office down there. Now,
much better, and you don't get the pop when you turn it on, right?
You're too kind, but so in what's happened.
Okay, so this is bass treble.
Coworkers of mine they've been alone at the office late at night or even sometimes in the day, and they've heard
treble.
My voice, like distinct as can.
All right, and this is left right. We've got it plugged into left.
I had, you know,
left.
trained most of them, and I've been
right.
Professor of the Weaver State. You know,
all right, and this is AFC on off.
Really well. And so
I don't even know what the hell that does. I guess it works on FM. Boy, she looks good. So I've got it on 1110.
And every time the people are like, oh, Paul's here. And they don't think anything of it, and they walk out. And
that's about as close as you can get, folks. I'm not going to worry about it. So let's try it on FM, though. There is a big FM channel, 107.9 here in Charlotte. Wrong one. Oh, we're getting the... So cool. Was that it? Was that 107.9? Maybe, I don't know. So I wonder if there's a separate alignment for FM and AM. I guess there would be because there's two different antennas. Let me look at these schematics and see if it mentions where that alignment screw is. Well, I looked up the alignment instructions for it, and without breaking out the signal generator and all of that, and without capping it and all of that, it's a big job, so I'm not going to mess with it. We're off a little bit, but not too bad. So this is.
Wherever you go, take us along.
It's a feel-good weekend.
On Mix 107.9.
So it's 107.9. It's off, a little bit, and it seems consistent down the dial. If I get down here to something, it's off about the same length. So I think that's the oscillator adjustment, but again, if you start screwing with that, you're going to end up getting bad reception too. So I'm just going to leave it how it is. The guy that I'm trading this to is also a radio guy, so he may want to go through and recap it and mess with it or whatever, but it works great the way it is. It just, we've got the AM lining up. I guess we could move the needle so that the FM lines up and the AM's off. But I'll let him mess with that. But I'm happy that it's working good. We've got the fader knobs all working good. It's tuning in channels all up and down the dial. I'm going to put it back together. I'm going to see if he wants these speakers with it. They seem to work fine, even though they're only 8 ohm. They're supposed to be 16. And I still have to show you what he's trading me for this. All right. So let me show you what he wants to trade, or what he already traded me for it. Now, some of you aren't going to believe this. Some of you are. I think it'll go both ways. Some of you will go, eh. So what he has traded me for this, and I'll tell you the story, is this little Arvin 2-tube special. So this radio, I think it's from the 40s. It has 3 tubes in it, but one of them's a rectifier. So it's just literally turning AC to DC. So they are creating a radio with 2 tubes, which is kind of an achievement, right? These are pretty collectible because that's cool that they only use 2 tubes, and the thing is it's real cute, right? So it's the size of my hand. So I think it'll go both ways. If you're watching a radio repair channel, you'll probably be more into this. But some people would be more into this. I don't know. Value-wise, I think they're probably worth about the same. This is probably worth a little more because he's restored it, repainted it, and everything. So these are collectible just because, again, they're small and they're kind of interesting, and he's certainly made this one look awesome, right? Did a really nice restoration on it. This hasn't been restored at all. Nothing's been done to it. It would be easy to find one of these at like a yard sale or something. So you could pick this up probably for $10 at a yard sale if you waited long enough, or something similar, They made all kinds of stuff like that in the 70s. With that said, they made all kinds of stuff like this in the 40s, but are a little older, so it's a little harder to find them. You could probably find this in rough shape, not working, beat all to crap. You could probably find it places as well, right? But one in this nice a shape is you're not going to find. That somebody would have had to restore it. So some of you are going, I can't believe he's going to trade that for that. Well, the deal is she remembers her grandma having that and wants something just like it, right? He restored this one because he likes radios and stuff, but they live way out in the middle of nowhere. And since it's only a 2-tube radio, it doesn't get very good reception. So if he turns it on at his house, he gets nothing. Nothing tunes in. I just thought, I wonder if that means it's just really broke. It might just be really broke. I don't think so, but if it is, we'll fix it. But so he doesn't get any reception at all at his house with it. So it's useless to him. It just sits on the shelf. So he wanted, this he's been seeing in the back of our videos, wanted this because she remembers it from whenever she was a kid. And he has this, which is pretty cool. So he said, hey, I'll trade you. So to me, that's a fair trade. I'm happy to do that trade because although I do like this, I've got other ones similar to it that will pop out at some point. And of course, I've got plenty of tube radios. This is just like half of them that I've got. I might even have more than twice that. But I don't have this one. This one's kind of cool. So I think maybe we plug it up and see if we get any channels here at the house. He didn't get anything. You know, my favorite thing to try to grab is WSM 650, which is the country channel out of Nashville. We're in Charlotte. So that's like, well, I don't even know how many miles that is. I think it's 250 miles, something like that, which isn't crazy, you know. But most of the AM radios will pick that up. Oh, another thing, that's a FM, and that's an AM FM. This is just an AM. So there's that too. Some people put Bluetooth receivers in them and stuff. I have no interest at all in doing that. I don't, to each their own, but I have no interest at all in doing that. So let's plug it up and see if we can, see if it still works and see if we can get anything to tune in on it. So here's the back of it. You can see he's done a great job restoring it. And that's the actual plate that was made like that. And it has a new power cord on it, and it has a antenna lead just hanging out of it. And again, there's only 3 tubes. One of them, he said he put an adapter and put a slightly different tube in because it's unobtainium. But he did a great job with all that. So it's already been recapped and all of that. If I can not get electroshocked. You can see how nice the finish is that he put on it. I'm gonna have to ask him how he did that. I might need to do that on some metal ones. But it's two-tone, speckled. And if you look very close, it says Arvin. Arvin. All right, so we'll start at the top and go down. How's that? If the thing will turn on. All right, so I hope I don't get just kidding. I was just kidding, folks. It didn't really zap me. Let's see if we hear any static. You know, you gotta let them tubes warm up. Give it a little bit here. I hear something. I hear hum. All right. So here in town, there is a huge AM station, 1110. We just messed with it on that. So we should get at least that, but we might get other things too. So we'll see. I just have the antenna hanging off the table. And I've got it all the way up so we can hear if we get anything coming in. It's something.
ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Now, here's Alex Del Barrio.
We continue rolling on here on SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. ESPN Radio has you covered for the college football playoff. Tune in today as first round action continues.
It changed backwards. That was all the way down, not all the way up. So we didn't get our WSM.
On SportsCenter all night.
Let me go up a little bit and then back down to see if we can grab WSM. It's at 650.
As he led the Sixers to a 108-98 victory over Charlotte. Embiid was out for a game after a sinus fracture suffered on Monday. He'll be out again on Saturday when the Sixers...
It gets that channel great.
Cleveland Cavaliers. We've got a record 9 teams paying up.
Yeah, we're getting all kinds of stuff. Usually at the low end of the dial, I don't get much.
Payroll of $353
so let's see if WSM is in there somewhere.
$103 million in luxury tax payments. The other teams on the list, outside of those three big market clubs in New York and Los Angeles.
There's something there. something. Is that country? I can't tell. I don't think it's quite good enough to get Nashville from here. Again, it's only 2 tubes. All right, so we'll go back up.
Drops a knee to the turf, and both teams begin their marketing at State Farm.
Children sitting in our family rooms as our moms and dads read the story.
Okay, now in this part of the video, if parts of the video disappear, or if there's big areas with the wrong music playing, or everything's quiet, it's because YouTube said, oh, give us money so you can play that song, and I ain't doing that.
Days of assassinations and volatile.
Beautiful than when you balance. And we will all have more reason to love NC. Glitter less, get more. For more on the 7 outdoor NC Leave No Trace principles, visit OutdoorNC.com. Sponsored by the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters of North Carolina, a part of the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina, in cooperation with this station. Since 2020, thanks to your generosity, WBTN Moments of Hope Church have raised over 8.
It's such a strong signal, though, that the band's real wide sometimes. I don't know what they call that. It like repeats, so it may be that we're below it and it gets it, but it also gets it at 1110.
Our goal is to raise $100,000, and every penny donated will be matched.
Okay, so that seems dead on.
Please consider a donation to cityofhopeclt.org. Thank you.
It's probably 980, something like that. Yeah, we got more to go. Look at that. Hear it keep getting louder? Yeah. So we weren't on the channel. We're just so near the channel that it's going crazy. Yeah, so it's kind of dead on it. All right, so we're off it now. All right, so we'll go back through it and you can just see how the volume goes. So that seems to be dead on the channel. Yeah, it's lined up pretty good. All right, so let's go up above it. I think that's the same song, so I think it's the same channel as repeating up higher. I think sometimes if the alignment's off, it does that, but it does it on every radio I've got pretty much. That channel is just so strong, it just bounces off everything. I don't completely understand it, obviously.
First-time caller line is 818-501-47.
Yeah, that's the same channel.
To talk to Rich toll-free from east of the Rockies, call
that's Coast to Coast, which is playing on 1110 right now.
From west of the Rockies, toll-free, call 800-618-8255. International callers can reach Rich by calling their in-country Sprint Access number, pressing option 5, and dialing toll-free 800-893-0903.
I think that's just the best we can expect out of a radio with 2 tubes.
Later tonight, we're going to talk to Erica Boussarain.
Interestingly enough, Paul, to
It's just,
bring through
you know.
your dead people.
He was excited for his team.
I guess there's no AVC designed into it. Maybe that's it. Because it, you know, you're getting. I mean, this channel is at, if it's at 10, all these other channels are at 1. You know, it's literally 10 times louder. So when you're picking up 1110 over here, it's at like 3. But whenever you get back to the real 1110, it's at like 10. I think it's just the simplicity of the schematic, which let's go look up so we can see how they designed a 2-tube radio. All right, so here is the schematic. I don't know enough about it to tell, but I don't believe there's any AVC at all because they just don't have the tubes, so you couldn't. I don't even know that you could do it on a 2-tube setup. The AVC basically it samples somehow from the output tube what volume that the signal is coming in at, and then it tells the other tubes to turn up the volume or turn down the volume. So basically, if you're on that really strong channel, it's going to tell the tubes before, which there's only 1 here. There would have been 3 on like an All-American 5 set, and I don't know how many of them it turns down, but it would turn down the amplification of those tubes, and then on a weak station it would turn it up. But I just don't think it can do it when it's trying to get everything done out of basically 1 tube. You know, this is your output tube, and you've got this doing all the work. It's just crazy. It's pretty wild that they were able to do that. So they actually were able to do it with 2 tubes because they were able to get rid of this rectifier tube, and so that schematic is right here. This is about the simplest radio you can possibly make. Look at that. There's just nothing there. So maybe I'm wrong and they do have AVC in there, but I don't think so. From what I understand, that's how a radio acts if it doesn't have AVC. It'll basically, that strong channel. It's a clear channel station that's 4 miles from the house. So it's 50,000 watts, 4 channels, 4 miles away. And so it just overbears everything. And so if you don't have AVC, it's so freaking loud because it's getting the signal out of my teeth. It can't get it. The other channels are just too quiet, you know. So anyway, but yeah, so there's a 2-tuber. That is so wild. So very cool. Yeah, I always wanted one of these. Now I'll have to find the 2-tube version, I guess, too. All right, so it gets several channels, just because here in the city, you know, there's all kinds of stuff bouncing around, I guess.
All by himself on a constant attack. But there's still more work to be done. If you love America and want to make it better, Donald Trump is your president. He's my president, and I'm blessed to call him friend. I don't know if you know vampires are cool people, but I'm gonna tell you something that I found out.
So I guess that's political or something. I don't know. I thought it was Christmas music. But very cool. All right, so I think it's a cool trade. I'm very happy to have it. I hope he's happy with the receiver and the speakers. And that's that. So let me know what you think. You think I got the better end of it, or you think he got the better end of it? Let me know down in your comments down below. And we will see you on the next video. I hope you enjoyed it. I love tinkering with this stuff. It's just, this stuff's interesting to me. So I hope it's interesting to you. See you on the next video. This has been Amateur Repair Time.